Welcome back to the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism. We have an amazing reaction video this time. Check it out, it's amazing. Hey everybody, this is Mark Edward Blanton from the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism. And yes, we are a travel and tourism company based here in South Africa. Been here for many years, been here for roughly 7 years, arrived full time in 2018. And of course, I came here for my very first visit in 2010. So I got an opportunity to see South Africa grow over the years, some of the ups and the downs that happen here in South Africa and so forth. But one thing that I can tell you, as a travel and tourism company, we have been able to expose people to what South Africa really is firsthand, and they've been truly enjoying themselves. And if you've been watching our videos, you probably noticed that as well, that people come here, and I'm gonna give you a little insight. A lot of the people wasn't super enthused, but they were like, there was something that I saw in one of your videos, and so I decided to come to South Africa, or they decided to come to South Africa, and they found that, wow, it's way more here than what we've been told. Obviously, there's a plethora of things here, but we all know, especially being here and of course being in the US, that they basically just don't want us to know, what the opportunities are and what's here. Now, the funny part about all of this, that I like to see that there's other people who are trying to expose Africa to the Americans. And unfortunately, we're not gonna get that through mainstream media. It's just not gonna happen. So I love what the African Diaspora News Channel is doing, because they're giving you insights on what South Africa does and what's happening here. But it's a small, sample size. It's a little different than actually being here. And then of course, I watch a few YouTube videos. People think that maybe because I'm here in Africa, I watch a lot of YouTube videos on Africa. The reality is I can just go outside my door and I can enjoy myself, and I can see Africa for itself. I get a chance to talk to the people who lived here, people who are traveling like me, people in business space, people in entertainment space, people in hospitality space. I get to see it up close every day. So it's not like I gotta go watch a video. I can just, obviously participate. And then of course, here in South Africa, I'm a willing participant in the travel and tourism space. And I feel that's a good way for you guys to take a small sample size of Africa or South Africa to understand, hey, this is what he's actually talking about. Because the funny part about it is, people who come on those 6-day, 10-day tours, they go back full. They go back full of stuff that they didn't even know even existed. And that's what we do, and that's why we always tell people to come on tours. Now, let me back this up a little bit. There's a lot of people that have interest in moving to South Africa. They're watching a video, they're doing this and they're doing that. And I get it, and it's very enticing. But again, we're not the only ones doing it. There's a lot of people bringing insight to Africa, which is amazing. I look at Kinganda, his channel from time to time, and sometimes he has content that hits home with us way down here in South Africa, because he literally talks about, in this particular video, he talks about, Americans actually coming to Africa and some of the issues that they're having, and so forth. And then of course he likes to talk about immigrations, and he likes to talk about getting citizenship and things along that line. And I'm just gonna let you know up front, at least from a South African perspective, and it's probably throughout the rest of the continent as well, you're just not gonna just pop up in a country and they just give you citizenship. It just doesn't happen. It's for their citizens, people that are proper citizens of South Africa. You shouldn't be able to come over here and just do exactly what they do. No, you have to immigrate, and there's a process. And fortunately, South Africa has a real good immigration process that you can actually partake in. There are no shortcuts. There are no, okay, well, do you know someone, this, that, and the third? No, it doesn't really work that way. You do what you need to do, and one of the biggest things they do is let you come here as a visitor. And that's what I like. But I want to show you, or I'm actually going to react to a video that O'Shea did with a young lady called African Superstar. I've never met her. All of us people that come to Africa, we don't just know each other. It's a big continent. So, but some of the things she was saying are things that people need to take into heed. one of the biggest things is that you're not coming to America. This is Africa. So you have to, get in where you fit in. And like she said, the friends that she has here are on this level, so to speak. And that helps her matriculate Africa. It's just that simple. So watch this video, and then I'm gonna come back, and then we're gonna talk about another video that he did, because I kind of put them together because they both hit home. The one he did with Dinas Samir. Dinas loves the East or the West. Yeah, the East, the West, the West. He loves the West, which is fair because I love the South. It works for me. The West works for him, and he's talking about some of the challenges there as well. So watch this video, and then I'm going to come back to you, and then you guys can watch the rest. So we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Why you feel the diaspora complains too much?
Well, I mean, I just think that it's worth us having a different perspective when we come here. You know what I mean? First of all, we're moving to the continent voluntarily, number one. Number two, there's a lot of cultural differences on both ends of the spectrum. And I think a lot of Westerners come to the continent with the expectation that everyone knows how we operate, everyone knows how we function, and we often expect the continent to function like the place that we are coming from. And I just think that's unrealistic. And I also think being extremely critical without having solutions is not going to bring us forward. And like you highlighted in some of these videos, there has been a profound impact from some diasporians who have come to the continent and have, I would say, created a bit of confusion or difficulty. We saw this first with our Kathy in the Gambia. She created some pretty controversial content that ultimately resulted in her leaving the country. And I'm sure it did also impact other diasporans living there. And then your recent video where you talked about the changes to the Sierra Leone citizenship and that their government was actually becoming offended or whatnot by some of the by some of the content that they were seeing coming from members of the diaspora. So my point is that obviously, yes, there's a lot of cultural differences. I think if you have not associated yourself or familiarized yourself with this environment, you will come and you will see a lot of problems, and it may not be for you. But we do also have to be mindful that there are a lot of people here, and that this loud complaining and this portrayal of our people through social media can impact them. Speaking about our mutual friend, Dinas Samir, obviously he was operating tours based on the premise of getting members of the diaspora citizenship in Sierra Leone. So I know he was directly impacted when they changed their processes, which probably meant a lot of the people who were gaining citizenship were no longer eligible. So, that's just one of the many things, as well as us not wanting to create additional hurdles for ourselves to come here and settle. So that's more where I'm coming from with my criticisms.
So the criticism, let me just say what I'm thinking that you're saying is, okay, hey, diaspora, stop making it so bad and ruining your reputation in Africa, and also ruining the reputation for other people that are even living here or before they get here with these African governments. Is that right?
Correct. Because, for instance, these African nations are the only countries in the world currently extending special provisions for diasporans. You know what I mean? Recently here in Ghana, they awarded, I'd say, over 700 members of the diaspora between last autumn up to recently. They awarded many diasporan citizenship. That was actually not the correct process, by law. By law, you're supposed to reside in the country for 5 years. You're supposed to hold a residency permit for those 5 years before you're even eligible for citizenship. So that was actually an accommodation for the diaspora. And there is no country in the world that is offering that to our people. If you were to go to England, I mean, obviously you and I both know we've resided in Europe. Immigration does not work like that. And so in as much we do have lineage connecting us to the continent, these are still countries. And this whole migration of the diaspora back to the motherland is as new to them as it is to us. So I think we have to be mindful of those processes adjusting. I've seen a lot of transformation here in Ghana as things adjust and accommodate for us, and changes and provisions are being made. So I think that in some cases, the expectation of many diasporans coming here is really unrealistic. It's really high, and their criticisms can lead to more negatives than positives.
Can you talk to me about the unrealistic expectations that you feel the diaspora has?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, we, those of us coming from America, those of us coming from England, those of us coming from Canada or Australia, we're coming from what is classed as first world countries. Okay. And these countries, for the most part, are well developed. They have infrastructure, they have a lot of conveniences. And obviously, if we're born and raised in those environments, we're very used to that living arrangement. When we come here to the continent, we will encounter things that we have not grown up with, lack of infrastructure, lack of roads or power outages, water outages. We have to deal with, the mentality of the continentals, about them being completely oblivious about the world that we come from. And if we just sit back and look at the reality, like, okay, even though we have made this grand decision based off of a combination of ideas or experiences, the people that we're connecting with in our new home are completely unaware of why we are there. I went to a panel. I actually spoke on a panel here in Ghana a few months ago, and there was a Ghanaian, diaspora who had lived in Atlanta for about 30 years, and then she came back and set up a business. And she said something that was really profound to me. And she said that continental Ghanaians have no idea why we are even returning to the continent. They have no idea. They literally, they see the action, they see the parties. And if you pay attention to many diasporan circles, there will not be continental Ghanaians or continental Ugandans there. I mean, I think you do quite a good blend on your podcast and things like that. But typically, it will be members of the diaspora and then it's continentals. And the meeting of the minds is not happening. So they don't know why we are here. You know what I mean? And so that also adds to some of the complexities of when we're trying to interact with people, because again, they think that we're just, on holidays, we're there for a good time. We're not really trying to make it a home or reconnect. They don't understand a lot of those things. And so I think what's needed is a lot of efforts to communicate, efforts to bridge, efforts to build. And that's what I centralize my platform around. Obviously, there's negatives here on the continent. There's negatives around the world. We have seen plenty of negatives about Africa before we even, sent our passports out to get visas. So we have seen a lot of that. And I don't think that we should be the ones also perpetuating that to people back home. You know what I mean? Let's talk about, we can show them the reality, but our platform should not be centralized around that. Our platform should be centralized about the way forward, solutions, and the opportunities that we can take advantage of here on the continent. I do acknowledge that it's not a walk in the park, but I guess, my attitude coming to the continent a long time ago was that this is not a place that's devoid of problems. I'm basically going to trade some of the problems I deal with in the West for my African problems. And I've always had that mindset. So I typically weigh it. And when I think about the cultural differences, which are really difficult, and I know that obviously you're doing big business. You have a lot of staff that you work with. I know you've done initiatives to work with tourism with Uganda, and you have a larger scale of business and initiatives than I personally do. But I weigh those cultural differences against the racial construct that we deal with in the Western world, and the glass ceiling that we deal with, and the missed opportunities that we deal with, and the systematic racism that we have grown up with our whole life. And yet we go through that repetitively. And many people have accepted that as the status quo. They come to Ghana, they come to Senegal, they come to Nigeria, they have some run-ins with some, hustlers, basically, and because this is something I've been promoting my channel, this is a classist system here in Ghana. Okay. And typically the classes really don't mix. And so if you come in as a professional, it's very important that you try to tap into the classes that are closer to your level. Because obviously if you're dealing with the help, so to speak, they're going to see you as a big fish in a small pond, and they're going to constantly be asking you for this and that and this and that. You know, it's been my own success to fraternize with people actually to have more than me. You know, the people that I'm associated with here in Ghana, they own big houses, they own cars, they travel, they have money. So they're never asking me for anything. Matter of fact, they know I have the least resources out of the group.
Well,
so I've been fortunate.
That can't help than being a man.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not a man, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not a man, so I know, and the expectations on you are going to be a lot, because obviously, you know, when men are successful in the African world, everybody's coming to him and asking him and needing him, and, you know, bringing their concerns to him. So I do recognize that those things are going on to you, O'Shea, and I know it's frustrating. You know, it's frustrating because I know, you know, that your heart, you have good intentions, and I know you're a community-oriented man, and you want to be impactful. You talk about it all the time, creating value, you know, what are you contributing to the world around us? I know those are things that are very important to you, and I know it's frustrating, but I still just promote our people to have a bit of patience with this journey. What we are doing as pioneers is going to carve the way for future generations to make this process a lot more streamlined. And that does mean that we're going to meet obstacles and difficult situations, but how we handle it sets the stage for those coming up behind us. And we just have to kind of take that in stride. All great leaders of the past have encountered similar things. And it's just a part of being a pioneer. It's not always glamorous, you know, but it does, we do change the world around us. You have put Uganda, you know, we were talking about that before we started recording. You have put Uganda on the map for so many people, O'Shea. So many diasporans will not even know, you know, they don't really know geography that well. They wouldn't even know about Uganda. They wouldn't even be interested. And you've been able to illuminate a lot of talent, you know, from Kim the Comic to Jonita to Grandson. You know, you found a lot of local talent that you've also been able to highlight and bring attention to. And it's very, very prolific, you know, and that's what our focus must be upon. Healthy criticism is definitely necessary, but we need to make sure the tune is a lot more proactive and motivational than critical, because a lot of people look up to both you and I and other, you know, personalities on social media. What we say or what we convey could be the difference between people making that decision, because they might say, oh man, O'Shea's my boy. You know, if he's saying this about Sierra Leone, I don't want to go. Or, you know, if African Superstar said this, I'm not interested. You know, it's people like Dinah Samir who motivated both you and I to travel to the continent. You know what I mean? He showed interesting things. He showed positivity. He showed the beauty, and that motivated thousands of people to turn their attention to the continent. So we have to be mindful of the role that we play in terms of the influence that we're sending out to our peers in around the international community.
As you see, you saw the video. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm here in South Africa, and you may think, well, they're over in Ghana, he's in Uganda, he's in South Africa. It shouldn't be the same. But I think individually, people come, they do what they do. How can I say it? We make our own issues coming to Africa. And some of the things that she put out there, they're very true. The question is, what can we do? First of all, you know, I think we need to come to South Africa or Africa properly. Come here, have your stuff in order. Come and visit. Come spend time here, learn the culture, learn about the people, learn about your status of who you will be or could be when you're in Africa. If you don't do these things, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. A lot of times we wanna, as she said, the big fish, small fish scenario, you end up going to the small fish, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're having a lot of problems because now they're expecting things from you because you are coming from America, number whatever number that is, they don't really know who you are. So they don't know why you're here. In their minds, they're thinking, oh, well, America's the greatest country in the world, but they're in Africa. What's really going on? So keep in mind that they don't know who you are. And so it's good for you to come here on visit, spend time. You know, you got plenty of time. You know, if you're trying to do a reaction to what's going on in the States and say, I'm going to go to Africa, you might have some problems. But everything that she said, I don't disagree with. I mean, we can argue it, but there's really no need, because at the end of the day, those that have successfully come over here and set themselves up and came properly and are acclimating themselves to the African culture here in South Africa, anywhere, tend to do very well. And they find that they have access to more stuff, just a better quality of life. But what happens is some people come, I'm just gonna put it just the way I see it here in South Africa. People come for a week, people come for 2 weeks. They don't really know what they're doing, as far as they keep claiming that they're moving here or they moved here or whatever the case may be. And then we find out that they're back in the States. But they gave this big hubbub about what they like and what they didn't like and this, that, and the third. And they never really actually acclimated themselves to the country. They just came, they saw some stuff, and of course they're reporting back. Now, I agree, people want to know. And as if you've been following The Real South Africa, we always say, hey, come on a trip. And there's people say, no, I just want to come. I just want to move there. And then they do on their own. We kind of say, okay, well, you do what you do. And then they end up running into every roadblock available. And then the South Africans are like, well, why did they do that? Well, why did they do that? And then they make videos and then they complain a little bit about the country, not realizing that every video that we're making and that people see, government officials are seeing it. Everybody of note kind of watches these videos, and they're like, why are these Americans coming over here and saying these things about us? You know, and they have all right to say so, because you got to understand, this is not an extension of America. This is South Africa. When you go to Ghana, you're in Ghana. If I leave here right now and went to Ghana, I would literally have to follow in how they operate. That's just what they do. I can't keep, talking about, well, because in South Africa, totally different ball game. When I go to Zimbabwe, I got to understand that I'm in Zimbabwe, different ball game. So that's my take on what the first half of this video is all about. Now we got the second half coming up with Dina Samir, who's telling you his story about what's happening in reference to us Black Americans or African Americans or whatever you feel comfortable with are engaging in, and what's happening and why there's so much pushback from the people that are in these countries. So we'll see in just a second.
See, you've been talking about it, taking so many of our people to the tours and everything like that. And then I actually did a video about what we thought was Sierra Leone was at the time a little bit unhappy that for the citizenship they have given out, that a lot of the brothers and sisters from the States were not coming back and investing. I know one person in particular came and got the citizenship from Sierra Leone and went right back to Ghana. Won't call that person name out. Mm-hmm. But and just getting the ECOWAS, being able to come and experience, through ECOWAS and all that. So take me through what changed, because they offered that, then they felt like African Americans were not investing, or even the whole diaspora wasn't investing. So then what was the next chain of events then?
No, so I mean the initiative, the program was for the most part put on hold, and then we find out about the whole citizenship by investment program. And that kind of was somewhat of a shock because of the sticker, the price, how much they were asking for it, and especially for those who actually have heritage to Sierra Leone or a DNA linked to Sierra Leone, how much they were asking kind of, again, was a shock. And people took it the wrong. Well, they didn't take it the wrong way. They were rightfully upset. But now they just rolled out the citizenship by Heritage program that was implemented before, they just rolled that back out with some changes, some tweaks. So, but I think it's fair. But
what are these tweaks?
So you have to come twice. You have to come twice. So every April and November, you have the opportunity to come. Then the following April or November, that's when you'll get your actual passport. So if you come in April, this April, I'm bringing a group this April.
Okay.
So when you come this April, you'll get your passport the following April. So you have to wait a year.
Okay. I think that's fair. All right.
That and the fee for that goes towards that, the actual government fee, they raised it at $600, which is fair to me. In my eyes, it's fair. Outside of that, everything's still the same as far as the documents they want. Oh, also, they're now opening up where you can use more DNA companies. So at first it was just African ancestry. Now you can use ancestry.com, 23andMe, and another DNA company I believe was CRI. But I know 23andMe and ancestry.com are the more popular ones.
Okay. This citizenship package that we saw that had something to do with, I don't know if it was gold,
right?
Something like that. This comes out. I make a video about it. People are not really receiving it well.
And rightfully so.
Right. And then so,
especially the heritage component. Now,
right.
the other citizenship by investment programs that they rolled out for those who do not have a DNA link to Sierra Leone. I mean, that's normal because, St. Kitts and Nevis, other countries, they have these DNA by investment programs, Turkey. So I get it, but to charge over $100K plus for those who actually have heritage to Sierra Leone, I think was a lot of people erupted the wrong way. So rightfully so.
So you think that maybe this is one of the reasons why there was a change of heart with this?
I'm not sure. I think there might be a disconnect between the Ministry of Tourism and Ministry of Immigration.
Okay.
So I don't know. All I know is this year, 2024, the whole citizenship process was put on hold, and now it's now it's back on with new rules. The reason why it was put on hold, I'm not sure. I don't know, but it's water in the bridge now. But now it's definitely back on.
Okay, because let me ask you this, because I just got through doing an interview with Gina Efue. That's how she pronounced her name, which I met through you, African Superstar.
Mm-hmm.
She was kind of believing that because there's a lot of complaining from the diaspora or some of the negative commentary that goes on social media with the African diaspora returning home. And she feels like because the diaspora has been complaining about some systems being unfair to them in trying to migrate back into the continent. And kudos for Sierra Leone and Ghana. I've been very critical of those two countries, but criticism, I got to give props to where it is. Kudos to them. But some of this complaining about some of the things going on in these countries might limit opportunities because it might piss off said country that is trying to work with the African American community and
rightfully so. That's a good it's just for some reason, O'Shea, people don't understand. Some of our people don't understand. Like, look, you're not in America. You're in Sierra Leone. You're in Ghana. So things move slower sometimes. Yeah. Things move differently. Yeah. You're not. For some reason, sometimes our people just don't get that. Like, you have to have patience. In fact, our mutual friend, Dan. In fact, I met Daniel indirectly through you because I think he followed you first.
Oh yeah.
So, bro, me and Daniel, we were having this conversation. Me and him we had breakfast last year, and he said you have to have an authentic love for Africa.
Right.
to deal with some of the, unorganization, if that's the correct term. And it will, but what happens, because of the citizenship opportunity, people who don't have this authentic love for Africa are people who see Daddy December, on YouTube, and they think, when they go to Africa, it's going to be Daddy December full time, but they don't have this authentic love for Africa. They get to Africa and then they just start being perpetual complainers and complaining about everything.
Right.
And like I said, people, they watch this. I mean, people watch this, and they're like, well, if they're complaining about everything, why should we extend this opportunity if they're just gonna complain about everything?
Okay.
So I mean, that's why I think, honestly, and I'm just speaking for myself, this isn't coming from Sierra Leone.
Right.
I just think that's why they're like, okay, let's make the process a little more difficult.
Initially.
Well,
it seems like
now, because I mean, Sierra Leone was the only country in Africa where you could show DNA paperwork, come get a passport within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That was the only country.
Yeah, I gotta give them props. They were the only.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I mean, with Ghana, you at least had to go through a longer process.
All right, guys, y'all heard what Danette says, and he's 100% correct. I can tell you here in South Africa, and I can't tell you about Ghana and whatnot, but the Africans do want us here in the country. They want us to come to the continent. They want us here in South Africa. Unfortunately, when they're putting together their best foot forward, we are complaining. We're complaining. We think we're supposed to get this, and we think we're supposed to get that. We're not negotiating. There is no negotiation, because you're talking about one person coming over here, two persons coming over here. And if we were organized, so to speak, for example, here we are in the Republic of South Africa. They reach out to me from time to time and ask about the American component. We got a travel in Daba coming up in May, which is a big travel meeting of basically Africa in Durban, South Africa. And of course, we already got our invite saying, hey, are y'all guys coming? Because they want to know what's the deal. Now, I've had many conversations with Department of International Relations and Cooperation, which is DIRCO, which is the equivalent to the State Department. And everybody wants to do something. But then again, we keep seeing all these videos popping up and these things happening. And from my perspective, first of all, it's their country, just like Danette says. It's their country. They can make the rules however they want to. And tourism is supposed to take care, ultimately, their citizens. That's just basically what it is. It's business. And if they're giving people citizenship, like they did in Ghana, they're supposed to be coming back to the country to be able to start a business, assist, and just elevate the country. So if you think about it, when they give citizenship to Portugal, they're like, you must pay this kind of money. Or there's a bunch of places, if you want to buy your citizenship, they want you to pay money. Or if you come, you got to be providing something. You can't just decide that you just want to be a citizen of a country and then they should just capitulate. That's just not going to happen. But my biggest thing is for those that are willing to say, okay, let me follow the rules, let me do what I need to do. I don't think they should be encumbered by a person who came for a week, left, and then made a video, put it out on social media because they wanted to click and they wanted a like, and they want to present themselves as experts in that country when the reality was they only came for a week, they came for 2 weeks, they saw something that was exciting and they feel like they can, do something, to help themselves. Unfortunately, we've been here 7 years and we brought a lot of people here. A lot of people have, leveled up coming to South Africa that's moved here. Granted, you're not gonna see everybody that we bring because they come here, we do tourism. We're not a video production company. Hate to tell you that, but we're not. So we do videos because we do want people to see. And a lot of our people want other people to see too. We just have to happen to have an apparatus or a YouTube channel that can do it. So, hey guys, you know, Africa itself is an opportunity. If you're looking for a listing in the newspaper or something like that, you're not gonna find it. You're gonna find it when you come to the country, people see that you're cool, they get a chance to meet you, and then they're gonna start telling you, hey, this is available, that's available, but you're gonna find that out when you get there. You're not gonna find all this out just searching the internet. And that's why I think a lot of people find themselves saying, well, you know what, I don't wanna go there. And that's fine, but I would say to you this, if you really, really, really wanna have an experience, something that's completely different than going on a cruise or running down to Mexico, if you really wanna have an experience, come to Africa. And you don't have to come to South Africa. This continent is amazing from what I've seen, from the other people that I see that are doing tourism throughout the continent. They're doing amazing things, and you see everybody's story. I think everybody should take that opportunity. And keep in mind, I'm just gonna say it like this, you're not gonna be able to bring your whole family at one time. It might just be you, like me. There was a time it was just me. And then all of a sudden now I got my sister living here, and I got my other sister, she's in Ra. I got my daughter living here now. So these things, they do happen over time, but somebody has to be that first person. So Africa is amazing. I'm just here in South Africa, and I've embedded myself for the last 7+ years into the tourism space. And that's why we're able to offer to people what we offer to you guys in packages. And it really just starts with you having your introductory coming to Africa moment. You gotta do that first. You can't just be sitting in the middle of Iowa or Illinois or Atlanta and just say, you know what, I'm gonna pick up next week and I'm gonna do the exact same thing I'm doing in Atlanta, making the exact same money and be able to do the exact same thing. That is what African Superstar says is unrealistic. So I will see you guys here in sunny South Africa. All right, guys, the real estate tour for 2025, it has been set. We're going to Durban. Durban is amazing, as you can see. A lot of coastal villages, a lot of coastal property that you're going to be able to see right there on the Indian Ocean. We're going to be having a lot of events while you guys are there. Just like the 2024 trip, they were surprised of how organized and how well it was, and that they had access to property, and you're going to be able to have access to property as well. So if you ever thought about having property in sunny South Africa, this is your chance. I would say book this trip immediately, come through. Of course, we have payment plans and so forth. And of course, we have a lot of content on our YouTube channel talking about what they did in 2024 and in 2023 and in 2022. So I would say for you guys that are interested, come to sunny South Africa real estate tour.
Hi, I'm Trevor Noah, and I'm South African. And because I'm South African, people from all over the world insist on asking me questions about South Africa. So, I decided to make an ad to answer some of those fascinating questions. Like, how cold and snowy is your Christmas? Well, Tracy, unfortunately, we can't afford snow. Nah, I'm just playing. We're in the Southern Hemisphere, which means when it's freezing in Connecticut, it's fantastic in Cape Town. Klaus sent me this one. Can you play golf in South Africa? Well, Klaus, we actually have some of the finest golf courses in the world, but judging by your 37 handicap, can you play golf? How many stars are your 5-star hotels? Brian wants to know, can I meet the lions? Well, I don't know if you want to meet them, but you can see them on safari. And get this, it's not just lions, Brian. We've got everything. There's elephants, there's rhinos, there's giraffes, there's buffaloes, there's leopards. Come on, man, expand your horizons. Ostriches. Is South Africa fun? Is it fun? Are you even watching this commercial, Michelle? Paragliding, bungee jumping, surfing, river rafting, shark cage diving, hot air balloons, hiking, cycling, wine tasting, whatever this guy's doing. Does that not look like fun to you, Michelle? Does that not look like fun? So, now that I've shown you South Africa, my only question is, when are you coming to experience it?
Thank you so much for spending time with us today. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on all things The Real South Africa. Thanks again.